Hello, truth seekers. Welcome back to the only place on the internet where we rip back the veil of the glamorous world of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel where we bring you more nuclear hot takes, guaranteed to trigger the mainstream media's army of Sussex squad stans into a frothing meltdown. I've got some sizzling tea today to pour right from the palace kitchens, so brace yourselves because this one is a real doozy. By now, I'm sure you've all seen the latest reports. Princess Diana's former butler Paul Burrell throws just a little bit of cold, hard truth at the struggle royals Harry and Meghan. Essentially giving them the cold, hard truth that their future in the US is looking pretty grim if they don't course correct soon. But before we dive down this rabbit hole of mayhem, do me a favor if you haven't already, and hit that subscribe button while making sure those notifications are turned on. You will not want to miss the fiery content we have in store. So now I'm talking brutally honest assessments, like, they could have had such a secure life in the UK, but they went in a different direction for the money. Just cutting right to the core, as these two grifters have completely torpedoed their standing and stability for a few million and a few clicks. Or how about this nuclear bomb Burrell dropped? Burrell minced no words. From the vantage point of an insider with long service to Princess Diana, he bared the consequences of the decisions made by Harry and Meghan, which in its core traded a life of duty and respect for a tawdry life of flesh-peddling and temporary rewards. The decision to desert their royal duties and take up a more commercialized US way of life has terribly backfired. Instead of creating a brand new legacy for themselves, they have landed in the middle of controversy and scandals, where each of their steps is picked over and criticized. Burrell's words might hit a chord in many who feel that Harry and Meghan's quest for independence has left them more exposed and vulnerable in a way that seems ironic. What they thought was a fresh start in the US has actually been fresh travails filled with public appearances, media contracts, and interviews, all of which have not done much for their reputation. In fact, Burrell's commentary points to a growing sentiment that all of the couple's new role building has managed to do is further alienate them from royal family members and the supporters they had in the past. Let's just talk about what all this reality check means. Burrell is speaking not in the abstract, his comments are not the only personal views uttered by one person, he is speaking on behalf of many others who are disillusioned by the Harry and Meghan story. The once modernizing forces within the monarchy are being increasingly perceived as cautionary tales that warn us about the pursuit of personal branding at the expense of traditional values and responsibilities. An assessment for those who have been tracking them too closely to handle, an assessment from someone so closely connected to Princess Diana, it points to the very principles Diana stood for: compassion, duty, integrity. These principles are now being overshadowed by Harry and Meghan's quest for sovereignty, relevance in an age where public perception is the key to social media metrics. What do you make of the no-holds-barred but possibly fair critique by Burrell? Do you think Harry and Meghan will turn this around, or has it gone too far down the line of self-destruction? Their future in the US is not very safe as they plow through rough seas with their inane games. I mean, he's not exactly sugarcoating the sad reality of their dimming relevance, is he? Can you even picture the shocked look of disbelief on Meghan's smug face as she heard these prophetic words from Princess Diana's most loyal confidant? Same Meghan whose entire public image is based upon her playing a role as the second coming of the people's princess. I can just picture her pulling out her classic punchable frown, pushing her brand of blind indignation to the forefront as she sputters, "How? How dare this man question my motivations? I'll have his head on a platter by sunrise." But of all the insults and criticisms that have come Meghan's way to date, this probably stung most, that sudden dagger of horrific truth from Burrell. But not only because it came from someone so intimately associated with her beloved Princess Di, it was because it laid so visibly bare the unmistakable signs that her fairy tale delusion is rapidly crumbling. We are talking about a woman who all but deluded herself into passionately believing that she would be a real-life duchess, loved by all, getting to jet around the globe on endless energy drink tours as the ambassador of woke. A modern-day Cinderella story, where the plucky, mixed-race American actress overcomes all odds to become the most celebrated member of the royal family. Burrell's critique is therefore a stark reminder that, in effect, Meghan's great ambitions and the careful creation of a public persona she has undertaken are built on very wobbly grounds. The reality of their situation is much less glamorous and infinitely more precarious. There is great scrutiny under every move, and every word is more likely to be dissected, any false step is just magnified. But with every stone they step over in their path, the stark difference between their dreams and reality remains almost haunting. The dream of a fairy tale life in the US is dimming, while the harsh glare of public scrutiny and dwindling support is getting stronger. It must be particularly galling for Meghan. She had wanted to be the next Diana, the beloved figure championing progressive causes. The gap between this fantasy and the public perception is widening, and she and Harry are not considered a beacon of modernity and compassion but out-of-touch celebrities who care more about their image than anything else. So, what does this mean for their future? Will they be able to recalibrate and find a way of aligning their public persona with the realities they face, or are they just set to spiral into obscurity? Time will tell, but one thing is sure, the choices they have made are full of challenges, and the road is not going to be easy. Her face beaming down from every street corner. Adored by fans across the world. So, to have a man like Paul Burrell, whose nearness to Diana makes him unimpeachably credible in Meghan's eyes, totally corroborate everyone's cynicism around their future. To dismiss their activist grandeur as a money-grubbing farce with no long-term viability. You just know that had to trigger some PTSD-level spiraling in Meghan about the dissolution of her meticulously crafted origin story. Cracks are starting to show, and the most respected members of Princess Di's inner circle can see straight through them. On the other side of the palisade, I'm sure Harry is somewhere chugging wheatgrass mimosas and manically rocking back and forth after getting a nice dopamine drip of royal vindication. This cretinous fool is getting hysterical over nothing, can't you just see him, practically coming in his pants over the thought of somebody finally corroborating that Daddy's mean old monarchy had left him out to dry? See, Meghan, see? The firm never gave us support or treated us fairly. Randy Andy's old butler just admitted it. You know Prince Harebrained is going to seize on Burrell's comments as the latest cherry-picked evidence to back up his decades-old fictional war stories about the big bad royals victimizing him from birth. Any inconvenient truths about how he and Meghan traded lasting security for a $100 million media circus will be passed over completely. Real accountability is a far too heady concept for the professionally oppressed mind of Harry. Now that his truth bombs have completely incinerated any pathway back to the palace's good graces, this new condemnation by a trusted insider adds the perfect seasoning to the word salsa he's brewing in the Neverland Ranch's industrial truth distillery. But for Meghan, it is a double blow, her modern-day Cinderella image, as the feisty, mixed-race American actress who overcame all the odds to win the royal family's heart, comes crashing down. The cracks are showing, the words of Burrell illustrating that so vividly, all is unraveling in a reality far removed from the glamour story they tried to present. It is the rough shot of reality. The dream of being adored and respected on the world stage does seem to come crashing down, and the fact of sober truth is that their actions have led them into a very precarious and uncertain future. The new reality bites, and the issue then becomes whether it is possible for them to pivot and find a way to rebuild their credibility, or if they continue on this course of self-destruction. The latter comments of Burrell are a powerful reminder of the gulf that existed between the facade and the truth. The world watches on, agog, as the carefully constructed image disintegrates. The travails ahead of them are mind-boggling, and how they manage to come out of this storm will determine their place in the annals of royal history. Of course, Harry and the Princess Punchable cannot see that Burrell's ominous words about their dark future fuel their claims of being forever persecuted. They're the splash of cold water in the face from someone who has actually walked through the Hollywood thresher. You see, Paul Burrell knows only too well what goes into maintaining relevance and admiration from the public over a serious length of time. He's seen peers and ex-colleagues wrestle with it constantly after leaving the palatial cocoon. He saw confidants like Dee's butler, Paul Whitting descend into alcoholism, bankruptcy, and mockery when their proximity to fame ran dry. In fact, Burrell is one of the very few taken semi-seriously by royal enthusiasts from that time. So when Paul watches Meghan's endless lectures on authenticity and unconscious racism devolve into even more alienating and pompous fare, he sees the writing on the wall. The Harkles' 15 minutes are burning off faster than swamp gas in the hot California sun. Therein lies a unique, sobering insight from Burrell's perspective. His time in the royal circle gives him an inside look at how that delicate balance between public favor and scrutiny can pan out. His warning is not mere criticism, it is hard-earned wisdom. He knows that the public pedestal on which Harry and Meghan have placed themselves is notoriously precarious and unforgiving. The approach of Harry and Meghan, characterized by high-profile interviews and controversial statements, has created a polarized public opinion. Instead of uniting or genuinely gathering the support of the public, more often their actions are seen to be self-serving and out of touch. Burrell's comments highlight the critical need for authenticity and humility, qualities that seem increasingly absent from the couple's public persona. What Burrell sees, and Harry and Meghan do not seem to, is that fame is transitory, and it is more so if not based on actual connection and ongoing meaningful engagement. Public fascination can turn to disdain very quickly if the narrative becomes one of entitlement rather than resilience and true advocacy. So what do you think? Do you think Burrell's strong reality check is going to make any difference to Harry and Meghan's approach, or will they still continue their approach? Please do let me know in the comments box below. Until then, keep it here on our YouTube channel for more shocking stories and scandalous exposés.